Well, hello everybody and welcome to ZBrush Live. Sorry, I'm kind of having to make some adjustments today, so I came on a little bit late. Also, I think there was a streamer before me, so we started a little bit later than we usually do, but that's fine, hopefully. I'm just doing a quick sound check if everybody can hear me okay and see my screen. Holler, all the usual internet things like subscribe, leave a comment, and you can ask questions during the presentation. So yeah, as soon as we yeah, right. So every time this name comes up wrong, and they've told me how to fix it, and let me see if I can do it. Hang on. Well, it looks like we are presenting this on a lot of different services now, which is great. And let's see, is there a way to change the name? I think there is, but yeah, I don't think I don't think they've made that change yet. So let's just kind of stick with this for now, and we can move on to something else later on. Let me make some adjustments here to my lighting here and everything. So I'm going to bump this back up to 0.85. Here we go. And I'm going to turn this off and turn this off as well. So if you guys can hear me okay on YouTube, and let's do the three services at least. Let's do YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. And as soon as you guys give me the okay, I will go ahead and get going. Well, that's a lot of people watching. That's great. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So I still haven't gotten a response, but I'm assuming there's a little bit of a lag or a delay. And if you guys can see my screen and hear me, please in the chat mention that you can. And then in the meantime, I'm going to do a few things here. Let's see if this works. Kind of does, kind of doesn't. Document, W size, yes, no. And document double. Where are you? And half, draw that out. All right, here we go. All right. Yes, you see my screen, Jean-François Atelier. See, I can say your name. I can pronounce your name because it's not some weird stuff. So thank you very much for responding and welcome, Jean-François. And also, if there's anybody else on the other services on Twitch, please let me know. It looks like there's quite a few of you out there, so say something. Obviously, I'm not Ryan Kittleson, and so they haven't really changed the name on here. And so I'm Kermaco, and yeah. Why is this size not changing? Okay. And okay. And let's close this and bring it back up. What the hell? Having a bit of a difficulty here with this stuff. So app shortcut. Oh, with this. Here we go. Okay. Maybe that will do it. Nope. What is going on? Wacom just did an update to their tablet software, and of course, display at cursor, yeah, okay. All right, and now I want this to come up smaller, and it's not coming up smaller, even though I changed it. Oh, maybe I need to, here, let me try this one more time. Come back. All right, let's pick this one. Here we go. I think that's the issue. Always the user is the problem. Display at cursor. Okay, here we go. Now we are happy campers. All right, greetings from Berlin. Greetings, 5 Dimensions. Okay, person turquoise waving. All right, sure, whatever that is, I'm with it. All right, so I'm not doing anything stylized. Okay, so there's been a mistake in the name. Okay, so I'm not Ryan Kittleson or whatever the thing says. It is, I am Kermaco, and basically what we're doing is we're doing this AI generated image right here on the left, and we're trying to make that in ZBrush. So that's basically what we're doing. This is the 4th episode, I believe. Well, let me see here. Yep, the 4th episode. And so if you want to watch how we got here, watch the previous 3. They're on YouTube, and you can find it there. Okay, all right. So I don't know. I think maybe AMRKARAM is GPT chat joining our stream. Okay, so let's see. Anybody on Twitch? You can see me. Yeah, thanks, BPS. I'm glad you will stay. It's going to look a lot cooler by the time we're done with it today. But, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. New version of ZBrush. I'm using it right here, ZBrush 223. I've made some changes to my UI. And, yeah, so it is all happening. Okay, so, again, I still haven't heard from anybody from Twitch, so I can't get started. So somebody from Twitch, if you can see my screen and hear me, please say so. Otherwise, I'm just doing this on YouTube, which is fine, but I kind of want to be broadcasting everywhere. All right, so I'm kind of getting ready to get going here. Again, please, somebody from Twitch mention that you can see me and hear me okay, so we can get going. If you recall, last time we worked on, so let me just kind of bring this to the top. At some point I will do some scene organization, but not yet. So I think last time we did this. So this is basically the kind of the high resolution. I'll bring up the polyframe. So this is kind of a zero meshed high resolution kind of sculpt that we were doing, just kind of getting all the features together just to get the 3D-ness of this thing. And then we started to do some retopology. So last time we did this part, and I'll hide the poly paint on it so you can see it. Let me solo it out. So we basically did this part right here. The wrong piece. So we basically did a retopo of this piece, and I think we started to do another one as well, and I want to say that it was this one. I think yes, it was. So we did this as well. Let me unsolo this. So we have this as a second kind of retopoed piece, and I promised to do a few offline, and I was able to. So I did the kind of the ear things over here. And also this piece right here, and I'll hide the poly paint on it, so we have that as well. And lastly, but not leastly, this piece right here. So these are all the different pieces that I retopoed, and I have them as separate objects, and we will apply different materials to them and kind of create some sort of a relief to the object. So yeah, and I had some time this week, luckily. I also did kind of, some of these parts are showing through. Okay, so here we go. All right, so I don't know what Nightbot is, but sometimes I amaze myself. Okay, cool. Let's go Berlin. It's 4 a.m. Okay, wow, you're up at 4 a.m. That's great. Okay, so I'm getting okay from Twitch, so I'm pretty much good to go. All right, so here we go. Okay, so all these weird things going on. Anyway. Okay, so I did the meaty parts, and these things kind of, just these little parts over here are going to show up, which are I want to say meaty parts, maybe the fleshy parts. So once I bring the mask on and I bring the color onto it, and by the way, when I did project some of the color onto here as well. So when I do bring all this stuff up, you will see that I have quite a bit of this. I also kind of put in some eyes over there. So we have the eyes, we have all these different parts to work with, and today we're just going to continue on with this guy, maybe possibly put in some clothing and whatnot on there. So all right, so let me just go to that fleshy parts part, which is like super organic sculpting, and turn on polypaint for that. I have also assigned some materials to this, did some tests rendering it in Redshift, which was kind of cool. So here I'm just going to go in and let me fill this with just the basic material for now. So M, fill object. Okay, so I can kind of see where everything is on it. Okay, we're good. And this always happens sometimes. All right, so now I'm just really focusing on these parts. So I'm going to hide some of this poly paint so I don't get distracted by it. I'm going to keep the eyes. It's because it gives the character some soul. But the rest of these pieces, I'm going to go ahead and hide the poly paint. So all I'm seeing is kind of the fleshy parts. And of course, these are showing off up underneath the mask. And this is maybe some sort of a creature underneath that has some sort of cybernetic augmentation. And let me see, does this have subdivision levels? Yeah, let me go down to the lowest subdivision level. And as you can see, what's coming out from underneath it is the original sculpt. So I'm going to actually see how much of that is being seen. Maybe about this much. I could probably slice this off, but I think I'm good. All right, AMR, you're going away. Sorry. You seem to be doing something that's not cool, so let me find you here and kick you out. Unless you promise to behave, which I don't even know if you're a real person, but yeah, let's find you. I think you might have a different name. Yeah, I don't like you posting these face, turquoise, covering eyes, face, that garbage. If you love my stream, if I see one more of these things, you're kicked. Just FYI. So please refrain. All right. I don't know what the point of them is, but again, we'd like to kind of keep this productive for everybody who is spending the time, and I don't really care for shenanigans or malarkey. All right, so that's kind of at the lower subdivision level, and again, it's just a matter of what I want here to. This isn't going to show, so let me get rid of that. So I'm basically just sculpting, just doing regular organic sculpting on here, kind of showing the parts. All right, and also maybe choose a different color for this guy. Do a fill object on that. So where's RGB fill object? Yeah, that's better. And I'm trying to match the eyes to what's underneath, but maybe, bigger eyes make more sense for this guy. Nope. Let's get that back to where it was. Okay. All right, let's see. Man, I'm surprised as to how many people join these things, and I'm happy to have you here. Thank you for joining. So yeah, new version of ZBrush, some really cool new features. I'm already figuring out, like, how did I get along without these capabilities before? So I'm really enjoying it. And also, I don't know if you guys got a chance to see, I did beta test this time, and And for some reason they didn't show my image, but this is kind of what I used as my beta test image. So it was this object right here that's on my Instagram. And if you guys are not following me on Instagram, if you want to see the kinds of things I'm working on, follow me there. So yeah, this was done in ZBrush 2023 using Redshift, and yeah, I will be basically doing a lot more working with Redshift as time goes on. I still am working with Keyshot as well, so I think there are definitely some advantages to having Redshift be inside of ZBrush, but also there are some things that Keyshot still has that I need and use, that you know, materials that I've made and things like that that I'm going to have to work with for a while, until at some point maybe I'll transition or not. I don't know. I have not made that determination yet, and maybe I will use both. Who knows? There are so many renderers out there. There's a lot of DCC programs, but nothing compared to how many renderers there are. Okay, so I'm just kind of climbing up the subdivision levels here, trying to get this to somehow work. And I am going to go in and load up my reference image here, just to kind of have it on the side, so I can kind of remember what it looks like. Let's add that to my interesting. Did I not do this? Let me check something in here. Interface, UI. Oh yeah, this needs to be 42. Of course, it's not going to happen until I restart ZBrush, but that's okay. I can always do the control scroll of this up, and this is what I want. And let's control scroll this back down. All right, here we go. All right, and I don't need it quite that big. Just move that over. All right, how to scale a mesh like you have on the face without destructing it. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You mean like I'm not destroying this part? It's just a separate piece, right? So it's not all one piece, right? So the part I'm working on is this underneath this part, right? So if I turn transparency on, maybe you can see it better. Here we go. So you can see that this piece is kind of inside. So I won't be like, you know, like I can work on these parts over here. If I turn ghost on, I can work over here, but I'm not really making any changes to this part. I'm just making changes to the parts I can see. So actually, this might work out good for a while if I can get some sort of a... It's good to kind of have an idea of the kind of face that's underneath your subject. So it kind of makes sense when it comes out on the outside. Now here, there really isn't that much I can see. It's kind of dark, so the reference isn't really giving me anything, which is a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is, of course, I've got more freedom to do what I want. The bad thing is, you know, I have to figure out what to do. But not that big of a deal. It's all part of the thing. All right, so was that your question? Sinoza, I guess. Let's work a little bit on the eyes as well. I'm going to drop some wrinkles on here. Let's choose, where is a good wrinkle alpha? Here, this one. No, that's a bit horrible. Let's try this one will work for now, and let's bring some and this is, you know, of course, just kind of setting the base of this, and then I'll just smooth it out a bit, and then use the contrast brush. Where are you, contrast brush? Here we go. Just to bring some of these out like that. I want to get rid of the little bit of this lumpiness that's happening over here. Dump that down. It's all good. All right, and then let's go back to normal. Sharp, I think that's the alpha for it. Actually, let me just reset the brush. But yeah, I've been kind of modifying my yep, I think we had it already, but better safe than sorry. I think that I've been customizing the UI, taking into account some of the new capabilities. And I still am not done, but yeah, I've already got like 3 different versions, 3 different UIs for this version. I think 2022 I had the most number of UI deltas, just because it was such a. I mean, it was around for a while, and then it came out with a lot of updates, and yeah. All right. Oh, if you sculpt on a thin subtool. Oh yeah. So the trick to that is backface mask. So here, I'll show you. Let me. What's a good one to do that with? Let's just do a cylinder. So here, if you have like this thin cylinder. It's kind of like this thin, and let me just bring this up, this, okay, and I'm just going to zero mesh this thing. Whoa, what's going on? Oh, make mesh, polymesh 3D, and let's zero mesh this thing a few times, like so. Okay, that's good, and then I should have just done the retry. So you can see I already incorporated these into here. But what I'm going to do here is just divide this thing a couple of times. Okay, so this is pretty thin, right? So now if I'm sculpting over here, it's going to show up. Well, I guess it's not thin enough. I'll make it even thinner. How about that? Let's make it super, super thin. Okay, so here's the example. I'm sculpting over here, and then it's doing the sculpting on the other side. So I don't want that, right? So if I hide the polyframe, you can see that this is kind of, I'm doing this over here, and it's coming on this other side. I don't want to do that. So the way to fix that is to turn backface mask on. And that's under brush and auto masking. Where are you? Auto masking right here. And backface mask right here. So if you turn this on, then you can do all the sculpting you want and nothing will happen on the back, right? So you can go nuts and nothing on the back. And if I turn that off and then I do this, you can see that it shows up. So backface mask under auto masking under the brush menu is your friend for that. Okay. So hopefully that helps. Hey, Olivier, how's it going, man? What's up? ZBrush 2023. I don't think anything more than that is vital to today's podcast, or not podcast, but today's stream. Okay, good. I'm glad to help. That's kind of part of why I like to do this, is because I like to make sure that that we maintain a good community of ZBrush users, and I know a lot of people have helped me along my journey, so I'm happy to pass it along. Okay, so here is kind of the face of this thing, more or less. And I'm starting to get some interesting things going on here, which I can play around with. And I think one person asked if I do traditional sculpting. You mean like with clay and stuff? And the answer, shockingly, is no. I don't do traditional sculpting. I never have. I mean, well, I shouldn't say I never have. I did buy some of that. There was this one kind of clay called X5 or something like that. I forget the name. But basically, it was so cool you could sculpt with it. So you'd kind of heat it up, and then you'd sculpt with it, and then you can melt it back down and work with it again. And I did work with that for a little bit, and it was fun. But honestly, kind of don't enjoy it as much, if that makes any sense. I mean, it's pretty cool, and it does help, I think, if you do that. A lot of artists I know have struggled with digital sculpting, and after they have done physical sculpting, they've gotten better. So, but I personally, I think I'm okay. Would love to do it, but would love to do a whole bunch of other things too. Just a matter of fitting it into my time and schedule. The nice thing about it is you have an object that you can sell or give away or whatever, but then you got to cast it in bronze and do all that stuff. And honestly, I like doing stuff on the computer. Not much of a like doing stuff on other things. All right, I'm going to try and do something neat here. Let's see if this works. So I'm actually going to make a copy of this. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to try doing something I just thought of. Again, just to use some of these new capabilities of ZBrush. So I'm just going to mask down this area like this. Does this have subdivision levels? Yes, it does. So I'm going to delete all the highest subdivision levels. I don't care about them. Actually, let's stick to 2. Delete lower, delete higher. That's good. And I'm just going to straighten these out and just kind of create a little bit of a crevice in here. And I want to suppose that maybe this thing over here has like this weird kind of, let's see if this works out. So I'm going to solo this out and just make a nice little groove for me in here. Like that. And then I'm just going to mask this portion. And I'm going to mask this portion. And I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'll give it a try. It might not work because I have it mirrored, but let's see if this slime bridge thing works. Okay, so first of all, let's start small. Let's add a little bit of tension. Let's add maybe about 13 bridges, and no branching, no capillaries, and let's just do a slime bridge. Let's see what that does. Well, I think it doesn't work well because it's mirrored, but that's fine because that actually is a negative. We don't want it to be mirrored, so I'll just do it on one side and do it again on the other. All right. Now here's a thing that wasn't in ZBrush before, but now that it's here, might as well use it, see if I get some interesting results. All right, slime bridge, bam. Yeah, that's kind of cool, right? Let's go ahead and reduce the tension. That's okay. It's kind of weird because it's going against itself, which I don't want it to do. Let's go to 50 bridges. Wow, look at that. That's kind of cool. I don't want it to kind of protrude so much. I wonder if the tension... oh, so the tension makes it less. That's what happens. Okay, so I want more tension. Here we go. That's what I want. Yeah, baby. That looks so cool. Okay. Oh, that is so neat. Okay, so I'm going to actually start adding... let's go to 75 for the tension. And let's up the bridges. Let's go to 100. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, look at that. That is so cool. All right, cool. I'm keeping that. Let's go ahead and do it on the other side. So same thing. I'm going to mask this part right here. And mask this part. It's so funny. Every time a version of ZBrush comes out, I always wonder, like, well, what would I have done if that wasn't there? Like, just doing this thing that I just did, you know, would have been a bit of an adventure. I think I kind of did something like that with the cave that I was doing for my previous. Yeah, so that's not even symmetric now. Let me redo that. Watcher00, you're doing that thing again with words. I will kick you if you keep that up. Just FYI. So those words with the exclamation marks and hand pink waving and all that stuff, I will kick you if you keep that up. Just FYI. All right. All right, so now that I have these, I'm going to push them in. And yeah, so that's kind of cool. Totally thought of it on the spur of the moment, and it's actually going to work out really nicely for this face. All right, so he's got like all these kind of tubey things. Let's see here. All right, I've got somebody texting me about something cool. I'll have to get back to him after the stream is over. All right, so yeah, so spaghetti face. How about that? How cool is that? And then I'm just going to hit this with the inflate brush. Get these to be a little bit thicker. Wow. There's kind of some of that going on in the AI image, so this is actually working out better than I expected it to. All right. So now that I've got this, I'm going to do a quick render. So let me bring up the kind of the main body of it, which probably is going to show through. Maybe I don't do that. Let's see. No, actually, it's fine. Okay, cool. So let me kind of do a little bit of a render in. Let's do a redshift render. So render redshift is on, and let's just see. Do I have a light? See what our lighting story is. I do have a light. Maybe I will load in a HDR. Let's try this one. And let's go ahead and see if that works out okay. All right, so the redshift render is pretty fast. The first time it takes a little bit longer. And but then afterwards it actually gets faster if you do subsequent renders. But I just kind of want to see what these capillaries look like with renders, with the rendering. All right, rendering in progress. Now my canvas is double the size that's here, so I don't know if that's kind of making it take a little bit longer. But it should have been doing it by now. Also, it could be, here we go. It could be that I'm streaming, so that could be causing it a little bit of a hiccup. But here we go. And there it is. It's weird because my speaker is making a weird sound with it. All right, well that wasn't bad. So let me kind of look at it from this angle here, and maybe I'm not going to use this texture. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and import a HDR that I have. All right, HDRI. Let's just use this studio one right here. All right, and let's kick off another render, see what we get. All right, so another thing I am going to also do at some point is I'll do a rendering stream, like just on the rendering capabilities of ZBrush 2023. I think there's a lot of confusion on it right now about it, so I've kind of figured a few things out, just kind of playing around with it. So, okay, so this is actually not looking too bad, so I think I am going to keep it. All right, so there is the slime bridge version of the face, and then there is another one that doesn't have that slime bridge version, and so and I'll basically color these and get it to look a certain way. But that actually did a lot of cool work for me, just with a quick use of the slime bridge capability. All right, so that's good, and then let's move on to another piece here. So I think this helmet part is fine. I'm okay with it. I think it looks okay. I don't know, probably add some thickness to it. Does it have dynamic? It does. Maybe add a little bit more thickness. So I got 0.025. I think, let me solo that out. I think that amount of thickness is okay. Maybe too much. Let's go for 0.0025, 0.002. I think that's good right there. Right, just kind of smooth out some of these edges. That's good, like that. And I just want to smooth out some of these areas. And I'll probably use my, I've got a shader that I use, a material that I use just to kind of see the 3D-ness of an object. Is this on A/half? No, it's not. Okay, I didn't think so. I think maybe the renderer kicked it off of that, but that's fine. Okay, here we go. I think that looks okay. And then let's go on to these earpieces. And these do have dynamic on them, and they do have a thickness. Not much of a thickness. Oh, are we still on? I guess we are. Okay, so let's move on to the ears, and these do have a thickness of 0.002, let's say. That's good. And then let's kind of bump that down. I guess this is the lowest subdivision level. Yeah, it is. And this is getting some smoothness from here. That's where it's coming from. Okay. All right, that's fine. Let's add one level of smoothness, maybe one more. It was fine the way it was. And let's figure how to get this to work with the other part. Now, I can kind of leave these, but I can also overlap them. So I'm just trying to figure out what a good kind of transition would be between the two. All right. What's been happening? Last weekend I binged The Boys, and I don't know if you guys have seen that, but pretty funny. I think it's I think it's kind of the closest thing to it that I can think of is The Watchmen. So if you've read that book, the graphic novel, or if you've actually seen the movie, I think this is the closest to that I have seen a superhero type of thing get to. But yeah, it was really good. Here, I'm just gonna not apply the thickness, but actually let's leave that. I'm just gonna turn the smoothing off and divide this thing a couple of times. So I'm just working with geometry. But yeah, that was a pleasant surprise. I did not imagine it to be so good. Some very cool characters and some really, really funny stuff, like, you know, crazy funny stuff. Not for the squeamish, I should say. I don't use a graphic tablet. I use a tablet. I don't use a Cintiq type thing. The question was, do I have an ARM that I recommend? I don't, and I looked into it. So it's so funny. I always kind of consider, well, what if I did have a Cintiq, and what if I did have a Cintiq, and you know, like, what would I get? And I would definitely get an ARM for it. And I looked at a few, and I do have links to them. But I don't use one, so I can't give you experienced feedback on use this or use that. I think there's 2 or 3 companies that basically have good ones. I also was considering getting them for my monitors as well at some point, but I don't know. I mean, there's always other things that come up that are more important, so I don't spend the money and make do with what I have. You like my scarf? Thanks. Got it from Japan. It's really cold here, so it really helps. I don't know. I shouldn't be complaining. I'm in LA. Cold here is probably nothing like cold in, I don't know, anywhere else, back east or up north. But it's been a very cold winter this winter. I'm going to go ahead and hide this because it's kind of interfering with my design. It keeps popping up. Right, that looks like it works. I'm going to add one more subdivision level to this guy. And I'm taking the liberty, like, this is pretty nebulous here, the ear, the way it is in the image. So I'm taking some liberties to have it be a different way. Olivier, I did see Slime Bridge with ZBrush 2023. It is pretty cool, and I just used it on the guy's face right here. So I'm already incorporating it into my workflow. Here it is, and I'll solo it so you can see it. So I basically used it to just kind of create these tendrils in his face. Right? So yeah, Slime Bridge is pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of one of those like whiz-bang wow features, and I probably will use it a lot more since it's there. And I'll use it in different ways too. Like I will use it with dynamics. I've already kind of gotten some ideas of what to do with it, so it's pretty cool. You know, like if anybody says like, hey, what's cool with ZBrush 2023, it's always cool to say it, but there's so many other more kind of useful, more kind of critical features than that. Masking, like the ability to mask inside of an area, mask fill, I guess, is a way to say it. That capability is really, like, it's one of those things I could not live without anymore. And also the symmetry with the gizmo is kind of really nice too. I mean, I had workarounds for all that, but it's nice to just have it not be the case. And also when I'm teaching, it's probably going to be easier to teach students. Just like when, you know, when the gizmo came out, it became teaching became a lot easier than teaching the transpose line. Like, I used to dread having that transpose line lesson because all the students would be like, what is this thing and what does it do? And so whenever there's a cool feature that kind of comes out and does things the way, you know, it's easy to explain and easy to do, it's always a good thing. The save incremental thing is pretty cool. That I like that a lot. I think Keyshot or not Keyshot, Redshift in ZBrush is a great addition, but I think it's very version 1.0. I mean, you can already do some amazing things, but I think that's going to get so much better over time, and I can't wait. What a cool thing to have. And since that's here, by the way, at some point I will pick up. I don't think this project is going to take that long. I think this one, you know, we'll probably wrap this up in 2 episodes, and then I'll get back to what I was working on before. And now that we have Keyshot or Redshift, I keep saying Keyshot. Now that we have Redshift in ZBrush, I'm going to be rendering that with that capability. Yeah, so save incremental is kind of this thing right here. So if you go to File, I guess it's called Save Next, or well, I guess it is called Save Incremental as well. So if you say Save Next, it will save this document, but with a new number, right? So and it's there for also for the tool like Save Next right here as well. So what it will do is it will just save the next, you know, it'll save whatever you're working on, but give it, you know, a number. So like number 1, 2, 3. Etc. And if you've saved it with like 001, then it will be 002, 003. It's pretty cool. And again, it's just like a really simple thing, but it'll save you so much time. Instead of going and naming it, it will name it automatically for you. Let's see, what else? There's so many cool features that were added. The masking thing is pretty useful. Like, you know, like, it's one of those things where you go like, why wasn't that there before? And like, there's so many times I could have used it, but it's cool that it's there now. Oh, look at that! My cat's here. This is not a plugin. The Pi thing, Santiago, it's part of Wacom, right? So I'm using a Wacom Intuos tablet, and you can probably, this is available on the Cintiq. Probably any Wacom tablet will use this, and basically it's just this thing right here. So if you go to your Wacom settings, right, it's basically if you go onto on-screen shortcuts. It's just one of these menus, right? So you have a bunch of different ones. So if you want to go add a new one, you can choose a radial menu like this one, and then you can assign keystrokes to it. So here, these are keys from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, you know, whenever I press this button, it's basically pressing 1 and then activating that brush. And so this is the way I kind of bring up brushes quickly in ZBrush. Yeah, I mean, talk to the Huon people, see if they can implement it. I was talking to the good folks at Sense Labs, and they have a nice tablet, And I was telling them that they should implement this as well, and they plan to, so hopefully that'll be available on that tablet as well. Something similar to it. But yeah, I mean, talk to Huon. Maybe they will come up with something like that. But it definitely has to, you know, you would need to get something like this to work with the tablet itself. All right, my cat is jumping on stuff. All right, 0.002. I think the thickness is what we want, and then I'm just going to match this up. Let's drop it in subdivision level. I'm going to try and match this up. So it kind of looks like it's got the same thickness as this part right here. Let's see, what else did they add? I mean, the Keyshot stuff is there's a lot of, not Keyshot, I keep saying Keyshot, but the Redshift stuff is pretty cool. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there that make life much better. Alright, so I'm going to bring the poly paint on this, so I'm not, oh, let's go up in subdivision level so I can see this better. And I just want to see if I'm matching some of the underlying stuff for it. I'll probably be doing that a little bit more later on, but for now I just kind of want to get an overall sense of how this is working. Lift this part out a bit. All right, and then let's go to this part, and I want to give this part a little bit of thickness too, like that. All right. So this part right here, I like the poly paint on it, and I think it's good for now, but I actually want to override it with some color. So I'm just going to, I mean, I can always kind of reproject this stuff, but I'm going to choose kind of a darker, just choose kind of this kind of a color right here. Is it RGB on? It is. Oh, well, I guess I'll do this one. A little bit lighter, fill object, here we go. Just because I want to see kind of how this is matching up. Just want it to seem like it's just, you know, kind of protruding from that part in a way. All right, that's good. And there is a little bit of sculpture on here, but it's just very fine right now. I don't really need to do much with it. And here I just kind of see if I want to extrude this out a little bit, give it a bit more of a gesture, but not too much. And again, it's nice to have thickness on with dynamic subdiv, so it does show some thickness, and then once I like what I have, I'll go ahead and generate the actual mesh for it. And then with this one, I'm going to push it down underneath these headphones, like so. This transition over here is a little bit too busy, but I don't know if I can fix it by moving this over. No, it's still too busy. Just getting it out of the way maybe is the way to go. Yeah, I think that works a little bit better. I'm just trying to see, like, it's kind of getting this line to flow. There we go. Right, now let's get to this part. This part I don't think, oh, it's had 5 subdivision levels. Wow, all right. And let's try and make this into something interesting. Okay, so in the image, it looks like this is not a facet right here. And yeah, here we go. All right, you guys are gonna quiet bunch this time around. What's going on? Usually it's a chattier bunch. Anybody got an interesting thing to share? Conversation you want to have? Questions? So this is kind of an interesting thing here. I don't know if I want to match this 100%. Whoa, what happened there? Oh, I know what's going on. There's the HDRs in the background, and we're seeing that is what's going on. All right, let's hide that. Where are you? Light off. Here we go. And what piece am I on? All right. I think there's something that's coming in this way. There's a little bit of a inlet over here. I know a lot of people that have done traditional sculpting that have transitioned over to ZBrush, and it transfers over well. I think they like it. They like it a hell of a lot more than like Maya or Blender or some other app. That's more of kind of a CG app. I think this feels more like regular clay to them, which is a good thing. And there's something romantic about, you know, getting your hands dirty in clay. It's funny, I was at the Getty, which is a museum here in LA, and they had a workshop where they were showing how they do marble sculpture. And this guy had a hammer and a chisel, and he was tap, 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 breaking into that marble to get the shape out. And I was thinking, like, that would drive me completely nuts. Like, there's no way I would have the patience to do that. And there's no undos, right? So you have to be very careful with what you're doing. And yeah, I was just watching that in utter, like, oh my God, no way. No way am I doing this. Eventually I'll cut these pieces out, but for now this works. Okay, so there's one there, and then there's like another cutout over here. A penciler? I don't know what a penciler is. What is a penciler? I mean, don't get me wrong. I admire the people that can do the marble sculpting. It's just not for me. I'd rather do this and then get like some milling machine to just mill it out of marble if that's where it's going to go. But yeah, it's not something that I would enjoy spending a lot of hours on. I think the way that it works is that first thing you do is you make the thing in clay, and then you get a piece of marble and you try to, you know, use it kind of like one of those caliper thingies, and you measure everything, and it's like a long ass process. I would be into making it in clay, more inclined to do that than to be the marble dude. Okay. Yeah, right. I mean, one of the things is I teach at this school called Gnomon, which is basically the MIT for digital art. It's really a great school, and they have a great practical sculpting teacher. And if I were ever to do it, I would want to take his class. I think his name's John Brown. He's really good. And you know, I always go into that studio where the students do their work, and there's these beautiful statues, and that they're working on. They're all really cool. And then at the end of the semester, they smash them all up and throw them away. They keep some of them. They incorporate it into the decor of the school, but a lot of them they break it up, which is kind of sad. Versus it just being a file on your hard drive. You know what I mean? Here's my cat. I think you'll see her tail. There we go. She's very curious as to what's going on. I can't see my screen. Okay. You know what's kind of funny is she stands at my desk, and then she twacks her tail at the mouse, and then it does stuff, right? So she's kind of like, I can do this stuff. I can just use my tail to use the mouse. She knows we're talking about her. She's like, all right. Oh, I see. Comic artist who draws all the... Oh, nice. Yeah, I know what that is. I think I just didn't know it as it was called a penciler. Yeah, there was a penciler and an inker and all that stuff. I love comics. And I should call them graphic novels before somebody loses it. But yeah, have loved them since I was a kid. Still read them today. Much to the dismay of some people that think it's a childish thing. And I think that's kind of the sad thing, is that people think that graphic novels are for kids. Like, I don't know why that mentality is there. They don't realize that it's not. It's just a narrative method. What's going on with this thing? Why is it being so weird? I got dynamic on. Turn dynamic off. On again. Oh, that's... Add another subdivision level. This because it's just dealing with thickness. Yeah. Oh, there she goes again. Nope, no tail this time. She's covering the light though, so when you see kind of go dark on this side, that means she's walking in front of the light. All right, are we doing on time? Oh wow. That's a significant amount of time passed. I was thinking we weren't at an hour yet, but I started a little bit later. I think I started a little bit later because there's supposed to be another streamer before me, but I don't know if it happened, so I'm not sure. I don't know why this is kind of still being weird. Turn dynamic off, see if that helps. Oh, there she goes knocking stuff off the shelves. Thank you. Right, so I'm gonna have little separate pieces over here. I'm just kind of creating the room for them. Like these little teeth things, I'll probably have them be like separate pieces. It'll add more to the way this looks. Cat has left the office. Alright, so this line here is I'm just kind of creating stuff that's not there, and it's not looking too good, so I'm just going to get rid of it. Alright, I just kind of keep this more. There we go. I still have the room for the teeth, but I'm leaving it the way it is. And then all the other stuff I can just kind of use the paint projection to get it to work. All right. It's really funny to watch the number of people ebb and flow. Like, you know, it was, I think, about 80 people at some point. Then it was 60. Now it's 51. Then we'll go back up again and back down. I don't know. I think people are maybe channel surfing on Twitch, and they're like, oh, I'll watch this for a little bit. And like, I'll watch something else. All right, let's get the thickness back. What's kind of interesting is that this is a good way to look at it because it shows that there's a little bit of a gap over here. So I'm going to fix that right now at a lower subdivision level. I'm going to turn transparency on so I can see how much of it is overlapping. I don't want too much overlap, but I also don't want a gap. There we go, and now let's just bump up this and get our thickness back. And yeah, see, that made a difference. It's always good to make these kind of things at lower subdivision levels just because it's less stuff you got to move, and also it won't look as wobbly. I think the problem is that every time I hit it with shift, it's kind of going in. There is a way to like not have the edges be affected. I'm just too lazy to go turn it on for now. I might do it later. All right, so here, this has a little bit more of a thing like that. I'm going to introduce. Yeah, here we go. All right, that's good. Now the thing that's kind of a little bit interesting, and I guess I need to fix this too, is this area over here, the eyes, have kind of an interesting metallic kind of thing going on over here. So I'm going to try and match that as well as I can. Try to remove this wobble over here, and I might need to go down to subdivision levels to do it right. Is there geometry fighting it? Nope. Okay, here we go. Straighten that out, straighten that out. Go up one subdivision level, make sure it kept. Did. One more. And one more. Alright, so this part's kind of wider than I'd like it to be, and the way that he's you know, the AI figured it out. I don't know if it's figured it out or how it did it, but basically it just kind of gave it another part over here. So I will do that. Try and match that if I can. I'm gonna turn off dynamics so it's not as buttery, and try and add a little bit of that definition and see if I can blend it in with this. So it is metallic, but maybe there's another piece over here, and maybe I can separate that out too later. Yeah, that works out better. Just a little bit of a separate piece there. Let's see, did I talk about, I think I talked about the World Cup a little bit one time, but I don't think we followed through. It's kind of weird that Argentina won. Good for Messi. I guess he goes out as a hero. Unfortunately, didn't work out so well for Tom Brady in the same way. I mean, he played a good game, but I guess he doesn't go out with a Super Bowl. I don't know. Maybe he won't go out. Maybe he'll continue to play. He should. He's still good. Who knows? I'm sure somebody will show up with a suitcase of cash and say, stay on. All right, you guys are super, super quiet. Oh, number's gone up again. It's so weird. All right, so I mean, once I get the overall shape down, this is going to be a pretty quick finish. So we're basically almost done with this front part, which is kind of very sophisticated. This bottom part's pretty much, I'm happy with it. I'm going to find a way to cut out these holes in the geometry. This thing is done. The helmet is done. So I think the helmet could use a little bit of sculpting on it, but I'm not going to do that just yet. But yeah, I think this one project is going to be the one that I do that's not going to take as long. I think, again, 2 more episodes and I think we'll wrap it up. So the goal with this is to get it to a nice render in Redshift, and also I'm going to kind of prepare it to be 3D printed. And I still don't have a 3D printer, but I have a lot of friends that do, and I'll get one of them to print it for me. All right, do I still have this on dynamic? I do. And these eyes are just basically very temporary right now. I will probably at some point have better eyes than this. I think they're a bit wonky right now. Symmetry on? No, I don't know. Oh, wrong menu. Let's turn that on. What? I pressed the wrong button. And the thing is, my menus would be smaller, but they're not, because that UI was at 48. Try and do this, see if it's any better. All right. I have the, is it this? What is turning that? I think it's under, where are you? It's under this. It's dynamic. Okay. Oh, great. We have some of the spamsters joining us. Let me get rid of them. Did do some filtering in the beginning. Oh man, they're not in the list. What are they called? Where are you? Weird, they're not showing up yet. What kind of 3D printer do I have? I don't have one. I used to have a Uni-Z, or I don't know if that's the way you pronounce it, Uniz or Uni-Z. I used to have one of those, but I gave it to a friend. So currently I don't have a 3D printer. But I'm looking at a couple. There are a couple that are interesting to me. I might be picking them up at some point, not now. But at some point I might be picking one up. The problem, it's kind of the same thing with traditional sculpting. It's like I don't want to deal with all the, the resin and the filament and this, like putting in the supports and, I'd rather just give it to a service and have them print it for me. And then, they can do all that stuff themselves. And then if I don't like something, I can tell them to fix it. I don't have to be doing it myself. And again, it's just a matter of I enjoy spending time in ZBrush. And the more time I'm doing those other things, the less time I'm sculpting and creating. So, and you know, and it's just me, right? I mean, there are other people that love that stuff. In my recent work experience, I was working with somebody who just loves to do that stuff. So so all the power to that. What's this weird intersection thing happening over here? See, it's kind of interesting with the thickness. Like you get these weird spots over here, and I don't know why they're happening, but if I turn dynamic off, I can see that this area over here has a little bit of a tweak. So let's go ahead and fix that. And it's funny, it's just that one little polygon that's causing that havoc. Where are you? Dynamic is on, thickness is 0.02. Yep, it's right here. So what's causing that? All right, let's just let this autosave happen. I can't believe I didn't save it. I'm like an hour and a half into my stream and I haven't saved this yet. So yeah. All right, numbers up again. So strange. I mean, this thing is recorded. You can always watch it after the fact. The cool thing about watching it live is you get to ask questions, and I'm surprised sometimes that nobody does. So either what I'm doing is super cool and easy and simple, or yeah, so the problem is happening somewhere in here. For some reason, something in here is, there it is. So you can see I've got a border around this, and over here there is a weird, there's these 2 points that are connected that I don't want to have connected. So I need to do a little bit of fixing here. I'm just going to go in here and delete a couple of polygons. Delete single poly. This guy. Oh, we're going to lose our higher subdivision levels. Let me see if I can freeze it. No, that's not going to work. What am I thinking? All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go all the way down to 1, and I guess this will subdivide okay. Let me duplicate it first, just so I have a copy of it just in case. And then I'm going to delete this polygon. I'll delete higher first. And get rid of this guy. I thought I did delete the higher subdivision. What the hell? All right, so, okay, I don't have any subdivision levels, so why isn't it going away? So is it symmetrical? Let's just make it symmetrical. Mirror and weld. Okay, and now let's go back in. And it's just this little pesky area right here. Why doesn't it want to delete it? Dynamic is not on. There are no subdivision levels, so this should work. Oh, is it masked? Okay, it is. Here we go. That's gone, and that's gone. Oops. Actually, I don't need to delete this one. I'm just going to move this point over. Okay, so the problem I'm having right now is that my brush size is too big. So the way you overcome that is by masking. So I'm just going to mask this, right? And then invert the mask, and now I only can move this point. And sometimes it helps if you just go to the move brush. So I'm just going to move this point over to here, and then unmask, and then I'm just going to do a couple of extrudes. Extrude edge, edge loop. Oh, the other thing that's super useful in the new version of ZBrush, I should mention, is I'm going to polygroup these so they're the same polygroup too, is the UVing capability. So basically, I don't know if you guys know, but you can actually UV in ZBrush now because you can cut seams. And you're not actually cutting seams, you're putting creases there. But then what that does is it goes ahead and cuts your seams there. So we're getting closer and closer to having full UVs in ZBrush. All right, so when you get into a situation like this one, the best thing to do is to, let's see if this works. Delete edge loop complete. It works, but sometimes it does this, which is kind of a pain in the butt. So I'm just going to do this. Slide the point up to here, and then just do some stitching. It's not a lot of points, so this is easy enough. Why is it still on slide? Stitch. Here we go. I'm not going to do anything with edge, and I am not going to do anything with face. 1, 2, here we go. I think I could do collapse and edge too. I think there's that. Let's see if that works. Nope. It's fine. I can zero mesh it, yes, but I've already got what I want, so it's pointless to do it now. But yeah, I could zero mesh it. Oh, and the other thing that they added that's kind of super useful is if I do zero mesh it, I could keep the poly paint. That's really useful too. So so yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I did lose some of the detail that I had, but I can get it back by reprojecting the one that I had here. So I duplicated it, right? So I have this one, which I do have the subdivision levels that has some of that little bit of detailing that I did. And what I'm going to do here is, and this is why I like doing the edge loop around it, is that I'm going to mask on the previous one. I'm going to go in here and go down to 1, and I'm going to mask this poly group. Mask poly loop. So this group around here and the ones in the eyes I will mask, and then go up in subdivision level, and then bring this up. So I don't think it's going to matter. Is there anything else showing? No. Okay, I think I can do the projection. And now I'll just project this on to it. So now it's getting a little bit of that definition. Does it have dynamic on? No, it's got 4 subdivision levels, same number as the previous one, I think, which should also be 4. Yep. So see these details? I want to get these details on this one, which some of them are already there, but I think I might need to up this distance a bit. Right, project all. And I could use the ZProject brush also to get that. It's getting there. I think maybe this one has dynamic on. No, it doesn't. All right, let's try it one more time. Okay, I'm going to actually give it, no, I'm not going to give it another subdivision level. Okay, so there it is. There's this one. It's at the highest subdivision level. There's this one. Okay, project all. I'm actually going to try and use the ZProject brush. Where are you, ZProject? Do I have it here? No. Do I have it here? ZProject, there it is. Okay. Turn this on. Was this the issue? Can't be. Maybe it was. Well, let's hide all this other stuff. So we don't have any confusing anything. And let me try ZProject now again. see, it's still not 100%. I don't know why. It's getting closer. Here we go. Am I doing the right one? Yeah. Yeah, see, now it's getting some of that detail. The thing about ZProject is sometimes you get this kind of crap that happened over here. So you got to make sure you don't do it while the model is turned around. All right, let's do this and just do another projectile. I think that's good enough. All right, let's bring everything back. And I might need to do a little bit of sculpting, but let's see what this does with thickness. So it's not going to have that issue, I hope. So another thing I could have done, now that I'm thinking about it, is I could have probably added another edge loop around the outside, and that would have fixed it too. But it's fine. All right, let's see what that looks like on the inside. Okay, so that's a lot cleaner. It's a little funky around here, but I think that can fix that. It's still a little bit kind of wobbly over here, but it's an easy fix. So again, I'm just walking up the subdivision levels, just kind of making sure I'm getting what I want. Still a bit funky over here. Okay. I'm going to divide this one more time. And turn dynamic off for a minute. Yeah, I lost that little bit of detail that I added in here. I'll try and get that back. Should have stored a morph target. Oh well. It's all good. All right, wait. Bunch of stuff. Your thoughts on Maxon and the massive opportunity with the digital abilities? I am new to this and can sense programs are getting to the point where people can create almost anything. 5 dimensions. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining. Good night. We'll see you soon. Still have a little bit of ways to go, but it was good to have you on here. I might go a little bit extra today since I started a little bit late. Well, I think yes, you can pretty much make anything. It just depends on time and money and need. I know with the last project I was on, they had very they had some expectations of doing things a lot faster than I'm used to, and so we were cutting corners right, left, and center, sometimes you just have to kind of do the things that you need to do to get the job done. But that said, I think there is a better version of everything, and sometimes you don't get the best result when you have kind of crazy deadlines and a weird timetable. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, like, even in Avatar, which is like, you know, I mean, that's kind of as good as it gets, and the new Avatar was really great. There's a scene where the soldier is holding a flamethrower, and you can see the handle of the flamethrower kind of clipping through his hand. I mean, when the action is happening and people are watching it, like, most of the audience will not notice that. But it's kind of, you know, it's kind of a weird thing to, like, you know, have it to still be in there as an issue. So yeah, we can do everything, but it still takes a lot of time. There's a lot of talk about AI taking over certain tasks, but I don't know about that either. I think AI has its place. I think it's great. I mean, I'm actually using AI here to generate this image, but it wasn't, AI didn't generate this whole image. It generated parts of it. I still kit bashed it together to get what I want. So, I mean, AI does okay, but I think, you know, I think artists are up at arms about getting paid. So either that happens, either artists get paid for their work to be used in the data sets, or they don't, or they pull out and they sue. And so if a lot of good artists pull out, I wonder if AI is going to be as good as it is now, right? So that's all up in the air right now. A lot of these AI companies are new and excited, and then there's exciting images being generated and everything like that, which is cool. But on the other hand, it could all crumble down if there's litigation against, you know, if there's one big case. That's all that's got to happen, is one big case has got to, one company will have to, you know, lose a shit ton of money, pardon my French, and if that happens, then the excitement will, you know, they'll have to pay artists, and when they have to pay artists, their cost of doing business becomes tremendous. It's already really big. I mean, it does require a lot of computing power. So, yeah, so we live in exciting times. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that over the next few years. All right, let's add thickness to this thing, see if it's going to be okay. All right, I'm still getting some funkiness here along the edges. I don't know why. Why am I getting this funkiness over here? Maybe fix it at the lower subdivision levels. Quest, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you being on. And, well, it will happen, I think. It definitely will happen. Something will happen. I mean, there's no way that a big art community is going to just sit there and take this. So, I think there's some money being raised, and I'm sure lawyers will be hired, and it's probably going to be a pretty visible thing. So stay tuned. And this is just in pictures. Like, wait until the text stuff start to happen. So I think ChatGPT, we don't know what that thing is sampling. So I think there needs to be some sort of government involvement into what is being sampled and what rights are being used and not. So that's going to be interesting. I mean, the technology is pretty cool, don't get me wrong, and I want it to go somewhere, but yeah. Artists didn't do all this work, so some machine can arbitrarily kind of replace them. I don't think it's going to replace them. I should rephrase that, but at least, you know, use their work to make money. I think that's kind of the better way to say it. But a lot of companies are investing in AI. Like, I heard Microsoft invested $10 million in ChatGPT. That's got to be right after it laid off 10,000 people, which is also, like, you know, very indicative of how things could go. Oh, we're losing money, we need to shed 10,000 people, and in the same breath, we're investing $10 billion in AI. So you do the math. But I guess they have to do it to survive, you know, to be competitive. Somebody else is going to do it if they don't. Oh, that didn't need to happen there. All right, I'm getting into tertiary details, which is a mortal sin. I tell my students not to do it, and here I am doing it. But it's fun to work on details. All right, let's get back to the whole thing. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. This on its own, like this, is pretty neat. All right, let's bring up some of the other parts. Yeah, this is coming along very nicely. I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. Let's bring that bottom piece. All right, I think this is all good. I think next time we'll just do the tertiary details on these and maybe do a little bit more sculpting on this bottom part. There are some details here that I haven't put in. So I will do all that over here and maybe kind of identify. Right now it's just one big lump for the coat that he's got. So I'll identify what that is and put in the things for that. But yeah, overall I think you know, I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out. Okay, so what I want to do now is reproject the paint of this. So to do that, first thing, I want to make sure I'm not in perspective mode. Bring this over here to the center. Press X, and then bring this over and try and match it. Let me try reduce the opacity here a bit. There we go. And bring in this guy and put it underneath. And try and match it as best as I can. And when I get it, I will put a camera there or a ticker marker there. And then I just want to make sure I'm on the right piece, which is this one. And then I want to go to the paintbrush, and I don't know if paint is on. Let me see here. I think that was under the paint menu, I think. Yep, and it's under modifiers, and where are you? Is it under modifiers? Where was the thing where, I guess maybe it's under auto masking. Let's see. No. I'm looking for the thing where it will allow me to paint this, and I thought it was under either modifiers, maybe modifiers. And project, maybe not modifiers. Where is it? Not that, not that. Clip brush, alpha, tablet pressure, auto masking. It's not going to be here. Resurface, nope. It has to be under modifiers. I just am not seeing it. But there should be something here that says paint. Like here, let me just choose a color here. And I'm on this piece. Does it have poly paint? It does have poly paint. Turn that off. And let me hide this. Yeah, see, it's not doing it. And I've got RGB on. And see, it's not really lined up right either. There we go. Get rid of this one, add a new one. Still not 100%. This is like that scene in Blade Runner when 2049, when the two girls are trying to kind of match up. Kind of feel like I'm doing the same thing. Well, I might need to do this in 2 passes. I think the dimensions maybe have changed a little bit. Right, one more time. Get rid of this one. And this is what I want right here. Okay. And we still haven't figured out what that thing was. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Samples, maybe? Spotlight projection. Yeah, so it's under samples. I'll never forget that one again. Right, so now I'm just basically painting. And I want to make sure dynamic is off for this because it drags when it is on. And I'm just painting this onto the object underneath. So you can see I'm kind of painting this stuff over onto here. Just so I have kind of the placement of the details. They don't have to be exact, but they have to be kind of there. Okay, let's see what that looks like now. All right, that's good enough. So then I know to add these things where they're supposed to go, more or less. Okay, and I already have that for the other pieces. So I have it for this one, right? And I have it for the helmet, I think, or do I? I don't know. Yeah, I do. The edges are kind of funky, but that's okay. I'll color those in a minute. So what I want to do to finish this session off is I want to go here. Let me add one more subdivision level to this. And now I'm just going to go ahead and paint. Turn dynamic off again. I'm just going to paint the edges of this just to get something that doesn't have like a white edge. And I can already see I've got some issues, but I think that's because of it doesn't have the thickness. I just want to get rid of those edges and redynamic subdiv this like that. Okay, that's good. And then what is this part right here? Oh, I inadvertently pulled this out. No problem. Let me push it in. Doesn't matter because it's not showing. Push this part in as well. And this part. All right. And what I want to do is I want to just get this to a point where I can do a quick render with it, just to kind of get an idea of what it's looking like. So I'm going to go here and find a color to color this area. So first I'm going to fill it with a dark color. So this is good enough. And then I'm going to pick a lighter color, maybe something like this. Go to paint and just paint these tendrils that lighter color. Now what's nice about these tendrils is they have their own polygroups, so I can just do this and make sure this part's dark like that, and then just do this. Oops. And then I can paint these the lighter color. Let's pick that color up. Let's do that, and that, like that, and then bring everything back. Okay, and then I'm just going to use smooth to just blend these together. There we go. How cool is that? I mean, imagine how much time it would take to do something like that, and I just did it in minutes using that Slime Bridge capability. Okay, so now we got a little bit of good looking stuff here. Maybe add a few highlights over here, just kind of rough painting. And maybe with the eyes a little bit too. Right, so this is kind of looking a little bit cooler, right? And let's bring this up. Now this is going to intersect a little bit in certain areas, so I don't know if I want to destroy this thing, so I'm just going to duplicate it, which is going to be a big chunky, oh, duplicated something I didn't want to duplicate, did I? Nope. What just happened? I duplicated something. I think I was on something else. Let me choose this thing right here and duplicate that. And it's going to take a while because it's a big model. Oh, this is what I duplicated. I duplicated the face with the tendrils. I'm going to delete that. I don't need it. Okay. And then move up to this one, hide this one, but this one I can mess with now. So I'm just going to go to that. And I'm going to push these parts in that are popping out. So I'm just going to go to H polish and just push them in so they don't show up as much, especially here since it's ruining the tendril area. Does this have subdivision levels? It does. Let me just drop it down all the way. Is this thing masked? No. Oh, maybe I turned the visibility off on this. Here we go. All right, there it is. Okay, this is looking good. All right, so now I've kind of got something close to what I will get. So I'm just going to do a render in, let's turn perspective on. And let's do a render using Redshift. So for that, I just need to make sure Redshift is on. And it is. All right, so let's go back to lighting here. Make sure that we have some sort of a background light. So this is good on. All right, so I do have that background on, which is good. I don't want to see it, but it's on. And let me choose a material here. I'm just going to choose plastic for the material and see what that does. Oh, there's one other thing going on here, which I think is showing up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color all this white here just for kicks. Let's go to paint. Let's pick white. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I just want like whatever is showing up to, because I just want the shoulder parts and everything. I don't want the head. The head is already in a good place. So come on. All right, here we go, and do this. Okay, see, that's kind of what I wanted to see is all these things that are protruding. So I'm just going to use H polish to drum those parts down so they don't show up. Okay, so now I'm pretty happy with this, and like I've got nothing here with the ears. They're just like this white color. So let me go see, do I have I don't think I have any poly paint on those. No, so let me choose a color for them, maybe like a gray, RGB fill object. Nope, that's not the part. This is what I want to do that to. Fill object, here we go. Okay, so something like this. All right, so let's do a render and see what this will look like in Redshift. So actual, a half. Let's go to actual here and zoom. Okay, so there it is. And let's just do a BPR. Let's see what we're getting. Quest, you're right. Yeah, that's a age-old question. What is art? I don't know. Art can change and has changed the world. I agree. I've been using ZBrush since 2005. I also use Maya. I used to use 3ds Max. I don't use it anymore. Dem TKO, Happy New Year to you as well. Yeah, I don't use Max anymore. I used to use it when it was first out, and I liked it. But you know, a lot of production companies that I worked with used Maya, so I switched to Maya for that. All right, so here's the global illumination, and then here's the render. Not bad. Let's take a look at it. I mean, the AI still looks better, but I think with just a little bit of time, I'm going to get this to look even better than the AI-generated image. All right, so I think we're a little bit closer to when I started. I'm going to try a couple of other materials here just to see what I get. So instead of going with this kind of shiny plastic, I'm going to go with, let's go with clay. Let's try and see what clay looks like. So this render shouldn't take as long. So let's just let it go. And I think I'm using the GPU render, so it's pretty snappy. I think what it does first is it does some calculations and then does the GI and then does the whole render. I guess if I change the material, that's going to cause it to think for a minute. This kind of looks good, the GI, without the render. Here's the render. I think it's a little bit blown out, so I might reduce, I think my light might have a little bit of a extra gamma to it. So let's try and, oh, that's why. I've got a regular light too. I'm going to turn that off. That makes a huge difference. Let's see how this comes along. So yeah. All right, so we're back up to 60 people. So funny. I think because I filled the inside part with the material, it's just coming out black. So let me do this. Turn this on 0.01. It's still going to be dark. And then I'm just going to go change the material on that piece. So that was the fleshy parts piece right here. And I'm just going to go to material on it and fill it with clay. All right, so that should fix that. All right, one more render. And then we'll call it a night. If you guys have last minute questions or things you forgot to ask me, this would be a great time to do it. But other than that, I should mention a few things before I go. One is I definitely think ZBrush 2023 is a great upgrade. I think I don't think I can live without any of the tools that they just introduced. I would highly recommend if you guys are on ZBrush to definitely take a look at it. Also, if you want to find out more about my work, I have an Instagram where, again, this image right here was done in ZBrush 2023 using Redshift. You can see how I got kind of like the translucent plastic. I was playing around with that idea and making a whole bunch of cool materials, which I might share at some point. And also, you can see my work at Kermaco.com, Kermaco.com. So make sure to go check it out if you haven't seen my work. I'm going to be posting new stuff. I'm working on that right now. And also, I have a couple of workshops. So if you want to see training by me, I've got a couple of workshops on the Gnomon Workshop. So I've got one where it's about designing a piloted combat mech, which is this thing. So I go through using VR, using ZBrush, and using Substance Painter and Keyshot to render it. And I also have another tutorial, which is 3D scan and retopology, which is the same topic that I talked about at the ZBrush Summit this year. If you guys want an in-depth version of that 45-minute talk, this would be where you would go. With that, I want to wish you all a good night, a good morning, a happy new year, and all that good stuff. And Sergio Lugo, not everything is for everybody. I thank you for tuning in, and hopefully you can create work that is not mediocre for you. All right, goodbye everybody. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.